Yes, everything is possible with biotechnology.
Like other countries in Africa, Cote d'Ivoire has a booming population of young people. They are going to need jobs and food in the years to come. But there's a problem. Many of them aren't interested in farming. That is something their parents did or their grandparents. 4 of our observers are trying to change that and make agriculture cool. I went to meet them.
These young people are the future of Ivorian agriculture. Unable to find work in town, they're spending a year learning to farm.
You need to hoe it well to get air into the soil.
They come from a wide range of backgrounds. Some have university degrees, others can barely write. But like most Ivorians, their families have land in their home village, and they've chosen agriculture as their best bet for the future. Today, they're getting a lesson from Daniel Oulaï.
The agricultural revolution is you, it's us, people like us who've had some education.
Rather than the cash crops that have dominated Ivorian agriculture for decades, Daniel favors mixed agriculture, growing traditional food crops like rice and cassava alongside the cocoa and coffee that are destined for export.
Agriculture in Africa has always relied on the use of natural seeds. Today we face new challenges. We need to produce more because 50 years from now we're going to have 10 billion mouths to feed.
Daniel believes African farmers can boost the quantity and the quality of their crops by farming better, by farming smarter, using techniques that are innovative but still natural. Daniel has driven 8 hours from the west of Cote d'Ivoire to join us for a week of investigation.
Salut Daniel.
Hi Daniel. What did you present to the students?
My seed library.
Yes, we've talked about it on the Observer's website. Now let's go meet the others. They're waiting for us.
Bonjour tout le monde. Merci.
Hi everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bonjour. Salut. Salut Cléophas. Allez. Bon, on va, vous savez...
So, you know why we're here. We're going to be looking at the future of agriculture in Cote d'Ivoire, the challenges and I hope some solutions. So let's start by introducing ourselves.
My name's Cléophas Mosala. I'm a reporter for Agribusiness TV.
My name's Jean-Delmas Ehui. I'm the founder of the startup ICT for Dev, and I'm about to turn 37.
My name is Maimouna Bamba. I'm 32, and I'm developing a technique to extend the shelf life of cassava.
Our observers are part of a generation of engineers, entrepreneurs and IT specialists in Africa who've turned their attention to agriculture.
The fact that we are in an agricultural school where young people are learning about agriculture is proof that there is a problem. We need to change the image of agriculture to get young people interested in farming again.
We can start by drawing on all of Cote d'Ivoire's experience in agriculture. That will help the younger generation.
We have to attract young people from other sectors, such as marketing and so on.
The group finishes by discussing the program for the week. Jean-Delmas will join us later, but now it's time for the first project. Maimouna presenting her conservation technique to the students. It's her first formal presentation, and Cléophas is covering it for Agribusiness TV.
The subject of my visit today is one of the main foods that we consume in our country.
Maimouna has no university education, but with help from Daniel's incubator for young talent, she has developed a way of prolonging the shelf life of cassava.
With this powder, we can preserve cassava for 6 months or more.
The students seem happy, but Cléophas wants to make sure she isn't giving them false expectations.
Cassava, generally speaking, doesn't have high profits. Have you assessed the added value that your technique would bring to farmers?
2 kilos of cassava sells for 120 francs, but it's enough to make 1 kilo of this powder, which we're hoping to sell for 350 francs. It can be profitable. There's money in it.
Afterwards, Cléophas is impressed.
It was great because she defended it well from a technical point of view and from a business perspective.
Agribusiness TV is a web-based video network that aims to interest young Africans in agriculture by focusing on projects like Maimouna's. Launched in Burkina Faso in early 2016, It already has correspondents in 10 countries.
We're seeing more and more young people in agriculture. They bring innovation, which the older generation lacked. Seeing agriculture differently. That's our slogan.
Back in the fields, the students say they were impressed with Maimouna's presentation too. After graduation, 19-year-old Marie is planning to go back to her family farm with new ideas to help her parents.
Cassava has a lot of qualities that we aren't taking advantage of yet, like the technique for drying cassava into a powder. My parents have never tried it.
Half of Côte d'Ivoire's population is under 18. And as the country continues to urbanize, many of them will leave their villages to seek their fortune in the cities. But the country's high growth rate won't be enough to give them all jobs. While Marie has chosen to go back to the land, many of her peers will have to. Cash crops like cocoa, coffee and rubber account for half of Côte d'Ivoire's exports, and agriculture provides a living for 2/3 of its people, mostly on small single-family farms. Jean-Delmas takes us to a cola plantation. So where's the plantation?
It's here.
Cola is a nut that is rich in caffeine. This farmer has 15 hectares.
15 hectares for one producer. It isn't much in terms of production. If the farmer works alone, it will be hard for him to commercialize his crop. Together, they are stronger. They have more clout.
It's critical for small farmers like this to be able to get a decent price for their crop. Fortunately, he's already joined a cooperative. Jean-Delmas is visiting the cooperative today to show them software he has designed to help them organize and get the best deal for their members.
Hello, Derek, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Abu. We call him Abu Cola. He is the president of the Cola Federation.
Cola is chewed as a mild stimulant. It was originally the source of caffeine in Coca-Cola. So I'm supposed to eat it? Is it dangerous? Jean-Delmas gets down to work.
Our main project in the agricultural sector is L'Orbour. We can help you to boost production and sell more efficiently.
His software allows cooperatives to communicate with their members via cell phone or computer, for instance, to share the latest market prices. It also gives cooperatives an edge in negotiating. One-fifth of Ivorians now live in the biggest city, Abidjan. People here depend on rural areas for food, of course, and ties to the country remain close. Daniel has chosen the Trècheville district as a location for one of his seed libraries. Julien Appia, one of our observers in Abidjan, is there to meet us. Daniel, as you know, Julien is one of our video observers. He's going to shoot a web video for your blog.
Okay.
For many of the kids who visit, it's the first time they get to see and touch the seeds that produce the food they eat every day.
It is crucial to teach young people about seeds because they're more and more likely to become farmers when they grow up.
Daniel also has seed libraries in rural areas like his hometown, where farmers can come and stock up on seeds to use for planting. And an experimental farm, which he uses to encourage farmers to plant traditional food crops like melon and beans alongside the cocoa or maize they grow for cash, relying on the different plants' natural qualities to help nurture the others. The next day, we visit the kind of lab Daniel is suspicious of. WAVE is a well-funded private sector program looking at ways to boost productivity via scientific research, though not by genetic modification. At least, not yet. Microbiologist Justin Peter is working on producing cassava strains that are disease-free and resistant to pests like the whitefly. Daniel, what can your farmers do to combat whitefly? Do they have a solution?
No, they don't.
Today, they are taking microscopic samples from a strain of cassava that is well adapted for making atieke, a staple in Ivorian cuisine. Making sure to choose samples that are free of disease, the scientists then reproduce them via a cloning technique known as micropropagation. Is it genetically modified?
No, not at all. It's got nothing to do with genetic modification.
The scientists grow the cloned plants in the lab, then give cuttings to farmers.
The farmers simply take the cuttings and replant them.
So these cuttings can be reproduced?
Yes, they can.
For now, Dr. Peter's team give their samples to farmers for free on a test basis. But he acknowledges that at some point their techniques might be commercialized and farmers would have to pay. And with the government working on a law that could open the way for experiments on genetically modified crops, he says it's important to keep an open mind. For instance, if a new disease emerges in the future and the only solution is genetic.
We need to be smart. I agree with you. I had similar ideas when I was your age. But with experience, I've learned that you must always have... What is it called?
A plan B?
Are you convinced?
As long as it remains a plan B.
As long as it remains a plan B. It's good for him, and it's good for us too.
In the greenhouse where they grow the samples, Daniel asks for some cuttings he can take to the farmers he works with. Dr. Peter agrees to send some once they're ready. Afterwards, Daniel still has some doubts.
What we've seen is great. We saw plants which are the result of micro-propagation. They are resistant to viruses and they can be reproduced. It's great, but I have one concern. These plants will lose their qualities after a few seasons, so farmers will have to come back to the biologists to get new cuttings.
Are there other solutions that are more natural?
We could, for example, try mixed agriculture. It's a real shame that they are not exploring this avenue, which could, in my opinion, allow farmers to retain their independence.
Maybe in the future.
Maybe, perhaps it's part of Plan B.